Hey guys, welcome back to the Freelance Friday podcast. I'm Latasha, in case you're new here, and I got my start in my career, really my real career, if you will, as a social media manager. I worked in the marketing department of several different Fortune 500 companies before going off onto my own, and I've been a full-time freelancer now for I think 7 years, give or take, and have had many twists and turns, ups and downs along the way. And today I want to talk about what's next because I have said this so many times. If you're a returning listener, you've heard me talk about this. Like, I think social media management is kind of a stepping stone. I think it's a great entry point into the world of digital, into the content world, like into so many different areas of marketing. But most of us eventually want to move on for whatever reason, like whether it's just because we want more money, we want more responsibilities, we get burnt out on social media. If you tuned into my last episode, I shared a report all about kind of the state of social media management. And like a lot of us are, a little burnt out, a little tired of being always online and so on and so forth. So today I want to talk about the different ways, the different places that you could take your career after you have been able to say, hey, I'm a successful social media manager. Like, what's next for you, potentially, at least? So here's some data to start things off. Marketing manager roles are projected to grow between 6 and 8% over the next decade. Keep that in mind. Digital ad spend in the United States surpassed $250 billion, with social media taking a major share of that. And then just some thoughts, right? We know that AI has changed the world, and particularly like it's had such a huge impact in, on social media management. But I've watched very closely, I've observed, I talk to people through my courses, through coaching, and through my own services and company that I run. AI is not replacing social media managers. It's changing things, but I am not seeing that it is replacing. I am seeing that it is changing the processes, changing the responsibilities a little bit, but there are definitely still people needed to, get the product from idea to post. Even if AI helps a little bit in the in between of that, social media management, I do not see that going anywhere. So let's talk about the paths. I've laid out a few different paths for you guys. The first one is probably, I think, the most common, or the one that people think about the most, at least, and that's shifting to an agency model. So if you're a successful freelancer, you maybe are taking on 5 clients, 4 clients, 3 clients at a time, and you're like, I need more hands. I could help more people and therefore make more money because the demand is there, but I just do not have the brain power, the hands that, I physically cannot do it on my own. I think the important thing to keep in mind here with hiring, scaling, moving into an agency model is it's not about just getting more hands. That's the mistake that I made. I was like, I just need somebody who can be like my mini me and who can just pick up my slack, basically. What you really need to be doing is changing your role if that's what you want to do. You need to move from being a doer to being a director and to delegation. And my mistake is when I tried to do that, I was still too hands-on in the business, and we just ended up like walking all over each other. And, I found it hard to let go of responsibilities. And I think that's the big thing. And the big question to ask yourself is if this path is right for you or not. It's, am I comfortable taking my foot off the gas a little bit? Am I comfortable stepping back and letting other people lead and do what they do best? Some people are great at that. I am not. I never have been. Even when I worked in retail, in high school and college, and I was a manager. And I was like the worst manager because I was like, oh, I'll sweep the floors right next to you. I'll, clean the fitting rooms right next to you. And yeah, I was a great team player because of that. And my team loved me because I was not like the other managers who sat in the office and, directed, but I kind of wasn't a great manager because of that, because I never did see things from that kind of bird's eye view perspective. So the agency model didn't work for me, big surprise. The other great thing about agency model is you can expand beyond just social media, because we know that email marketing is huge, for example. We know that digital infrastructure like websites, those are probably always going to be a thing. Being able to build a home base for clients, doing things like Google Ads, Google My Business, right? SEO, whatever, like all of these different disciplines that exist within the digital world can be done if you open an agency. Speaking of that, path 2 is a diversified marketer. So you can pick up other skills. Like social media, I think is kind of like I call it a good entry point into digital because it's one that a lot of us are familiar with just in our own personal lives. Like we've all, obviously like used Instagram or Facebook. And so we understand it from the consumer point of view, if nothing else, which is great. But it's typically very top of the funnel. If you guys know what a marketing funnel looks like, right? We've got like social media or advertisements, like those big things that reach a lot of people. And then slowly, they funnel down until they become an actual customer. The different marketing roles that exist down funnel, I think a lot of times can actually get more money because they're closer to the bottom of the funnel. So, for example, you post a social media post and say, hey guys, download my freebie. Maybe your client is a coach. Okay, well, you can report on website clicks to the freebie. You can say, if they give you the information, they can say how many emails they collected from that. But that's kind of like the only way to really report a return on investment as a social media manager. And of course, you can give the social media metrics. Hey, this many people saw the post, this many people, clicked on your profile, whatever. But what if you're that email marketing manager who is actually building out those funnels and can say, hey, 500 people went through the funnel, 300 people purchased at the end of the funnel, or 400 people signed up to attend the webinar where you're going to sell on the webinar. Same for like a paid media, a paid social media manager. You actually get ROAS or return on ad spend as long as you have all your pixels set up correctly. You'll be able to see, hey, we spent $5,000 on this ad campaign. We made back $35,000. So it had a positive ROI. It had a positive return on investment. Those things are just like not as possible to do with organic social. And so I think because of that, jobs, roles like a paid ads manager, like an email marketing manager, operations managers, people like that can charge more money because they just can prove their value a little bit easier. Even though we all know that social media has immense value, I think it can be like seen as a little bit surface level. So I know, like definitely if you are somebody who's taken one of my courses, you've watched my YouTube for a long time, you are doing the thing as a social media manager, you have the ability to be an email marketing manager. You have the ability and then, the know-how, the can do to do paid ads. It's just about whether or not you want to invest time into learning them. But I do see people who specialize in those things being able to command higher rates overall. And by the way, if you're a social media manager who doesn't have an all-in-one social media management tool that you love, you've got to check out Metricool. They're the sponsor of this podcast, and I am so grateful that we found each other. Truly, they have changed the game for the work that I do for my clients, the work that I do for myself, and even as I've scaled into different models, working with teams, working as a content creator, personal brand, even doing things like running ads. You can do that through Metricool. So they have been my tried and true for so long now. You can use my code Latasha to try 30 days free on any of their premium plans. They've also got a great free plan, but let me tell you a little bit more about premium. With premium, get all of the benefits of a free plan and management of multiple brands, in-depth analysis of up to 100 competitors, customizable link pages for any of your social media bios, automated downloadable metric reports, team member roles and streamlined client approval workflows, seamless asset management with Google Drive and Canva integrations, and so much more. You can choose from starter, advanced, or enterprise level. There really is a plan for everyone. And my code Latasha, that's Latasha, will get you 30 days free on any of those premium plans. Be sure to check it out. Link down below. Number 3, I think I'm gonna do a whole episode soon. Let me know if you guys would like me to on in-person events and community building. I'm seeing a lot of people shifting to this model. It's something that I'm sitting here right now in my studio space. So I rented a studio. We just hit our 1-year anniversary. This was something that had been a dream of mine for so long. I don't know. I just wanted to try it out, to be honest. I wanted a place where people could come and meet and co-work with me. I wanted a place where I could invite clients to have VIP days, which I do offer now, by the way. I'll leave a link to those down below. And I also wanted, like, in my town, there's really not any podcast studios. There's not a place for somebody to come and make a podcast with professional gear, with a professional producer. There just isn't. There's a couple, and there's a great photo studio right down the street, but there's not a lot of podcast specific places. So I saw, opportunity for like a community space. And yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people do similar things, open up content studios or host live events, retreats, that kind of thing, because so much happened online in 2020, 2021, 2022. And then I think people got so burnt out from staring at a Zoom screen. I mean, I know I did. I'm like, oh my gosh, like not one more Zoom, not one more Zoom. And so I think people are really craving that in-person connection. And social media managers, like, I think that's the next, if you are social, if you like to talk to people, if you like to post things on the internet, getting people into a room is kind of like the next step from that. And there are so many different things that you could do. Like you could host in-person workshops for, maybe you do social media for boutiques. Invite all the boutiques in your area to a social media seminar where you teach them how to like create reels and stuff. Or it could just be more general. You could do anything in your local area if you don't want to worry about competition and that kind of thing. Teach people how to create content. You could do masterminds and get other business owners together, get other social media managers together and talk biz and charge a membership fee for that. Or you can even just do free ones and use those as lead generators to your business. Now, again, you have to have the infrastructure to support that. Like, are you gonna go with the agency model so that you can handle the increased demand? Or are you going to maybe offer a different higher ticket service? So make sure you have that back end set up, especially if you're gonna do free. But yeah, there's so many different ways that you can monetize in person. I will say though, like I said, I want to do a whole episode about my experience with in person, because I do think I'm new at this. I've only had an in-person location for a year, but it's hard. Like it is hard to get people in a room. It's hard work. Like I'm like scrubbing floors, like sweeping, like cleaning, breaking down boxes. It's very different from in person. And I've also hosted events before through my past client. And like, I don't know, I swear I broke my toe on one of our events because I was running up and down the stairs in heels so much. Like it is just a very different kind of work. And I do caution people against going too aggressively hard into this, because I do think so many people are thinking like it's the next logical step. And it's sort of like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, And I don't necessarily think that's true. I think they're still going to work together. I think like digital and in person are still going to work together. Don't abandon one for the other, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Or don't, make this huge, ridiculous investment in something that you haven't proven micro success in, at least. Like I've been testing out doing just like really tiny little meetups at the studio. Really, I've done a lot of speaking gigs in the past for other events, other conferences. So when I someday host my own, I'll have a little bit more experience in it. Thought leadership. Thought leadership is one that a lot of people kind of go into, is they say, okay, I've built this successful agency. I've built this successful freelance business, whatever. Now maybe I need to build my own personal brand. I think personal branding is so powerful. I think I'm an example of that, right? I've been able to cascade my career from being a social media manager for corporate companies and then into startups as a freelancer, to being a paid speaker, a paid keynote speaker, to having brand deals with amazing, very aligned, very on brand businesses and brands to, being able to hopefully it's in progress, write a book, do like different things that enable me to diversify my revenue in a way that relies on me, not just what I do, if that makes sense. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, I've got to deliver value in these things. I can't just like talk about my sandwich that I made the other day. I mean, I could if I wanted to fully pivot into like vegan food personal brand, I guess. But it is nice knowing that even though things might change a little bit here and there, as long as I don't go too off the rails, I have built a name for myself. It's not just social media manager. Oh, she's that person who teaches social media management or who is a social media manager for people. But I've kind of built a name as somebody who cares about small business, who cares about entrepreneurship, who cares about, content and creating beautiful, important, meaningful things. And that can take you in a lot of different directions. I'm a big believer in long form content for this. I truly I think that is been my saving grace. I'm so glad that I chose YouTube as a platform. I'm so glad that I started at a time when that was really the only option for creating videos was on YouTube. So it was a little easier in that way that I didn't have that decision fatigue. But truly, if you are somebody who's creating a lot of content on social media, blow those ideas out. If you have short form reels or TikToks, start drafting out YouTube ideas, start batching out podcasts. I'm such a huge believer in this. And this is actually something that I do here in my studio with clients or virtually as well. I have a program called Authority on Autopilot. It is a done with you program. So we meet ahead of time on calls. We script your content together. We'll build out either a batch of, YouTube videos or podcasts, things that are going to be assets for your business, not just content, right? These are going to be evergreen pieces of content that are going to support your mission, your values, your revenue, that they're going to tie to your revenue. And you can reuse those and post them, like I said, as assets. They're going to be things that get you leads, hopefully for months, maybe even years to come, not this sort of ephemeral short form content, which can be used to supplement. But the long form is really the long game, truly. So yeah, that's something that we'll work together on in Authority on Autopilot. And if you do the virtual option, I'll actually interview you virtually on Riverside so that you get some thought leadership interview style content to be able to then repurpose into short form, repurpose into newsletters, all the things. And then, of course, if you want to work with me in person, we can have a lot more fun and actually shoot all kinds of content here in my studio and out in the world too. So I'll leave a link for that down below if you want to check that out. But if you're DIYing it too, just start with what I just said. Just kind of copy that process of let me batch out a month's worth of videos and then let me repurpose that into newsletters, into short form content to kind of distribute and get eyeballs onto your YouTube and really invest in those assets, those revenue supporting assets, not just whatever's trendy, And then also decide what your premium service is going to be. What are you going to lead to in your podcasts, in your, content? Are you going to go the speaking route? Are you going to offer a high ticket service? Are you going to write a book? And so on and so forth. There's so many opportunities and in places that you could take your expertise and your experience as a social media manager. So it's just up to you to decide kind of which direction you want to go. So those are a few of the career paths that I see my friends, my students, my clients, myself that I've gone down. Let me know which one feels the most on brand, the most aligned for you. That is not to say that this is all. Those are just some that came to mind, but there are so many different places that your social media management experience can take you. I mean, I've had students from my courses go on to become graphic designers. They're very related, just like I was talking about email marketing and ads. You learn a lot about graphic design from being a social media manager. You learn a lot about video. You learn a lot about content, long form content by being a social media manager. I've had so many of my students go on to do things like that. I've had students go on to work in TV, just a lot of different cool things. I really do think social media management gives you so much awesome experience writing, making content, communication, project management. I mean, so many different things. So let me know where you want to see your career in the next couple years if you are currently in the trenches as a social media manager, or if you have scaled to one of these different paths. Let me know where you've ended up. I'm always so curious to know. And I'll leave some resources down below if you want to check those out. And thank you so much to our sponsor, Metricool. Appreciate them as always. You can use my code Latasha for 30 days free on any of their premium plans. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a comment down below if you don't mind, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.